Hey guys, it's time for the question of the week. And today's question comes from Facebook Messenger. And it is, how can the quote unquote worst thing that can ever happen with your twin flame? And this, I say the quotes because the person asking the question was quoting me in a previous video. I guess I had mentioned something along the lines of mentioning the worst thing that could happen with your twin flame. And of course, what that is specific and unique and individual to every person. You know, it's like, what do you think is the worst thing that could ever happen with your twin flame or regarding your twin flame? Wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are at the moment, you know, what is that worst thing that you could think of that could ever happen? It's important to get really clear about what that is, being really honest with yourself and seeing what that is, because that right there is fear-based energy. And whatever you fear which is the worst thing that could ever happen regarding your twin flame or with your twin flame is going to reflect that back to you. Your twin flame has to reflect that back to you. Your twin flame is your reverse mirror. So they're reflecting back to you, your denied shadow part of yourself. Your denied shadow part of yourself is your push fear-based energy. Your push fear-based energy is what is always concerned and worried and anxious and stressed out about what's going on with your twin flame or not, right? What your twin flame is doing, saying, thinking, feeling, or with whom, or, you know, how or why or whatever, right? That's all of that is fear-based push energy. So if you have any of that energy, that is the role your twin flame is playing here. That's what their whole job is. They don't know it consciously, but that's what their job is. That's why this whole journey is happening, is because they come in, your soul brings them in actually, for you to then, your fear-based push energy to then have some kind of reaction or react, and then you see that part of yourself. And, you know, once you're aware and conscious and you know that's what's going on, then, you know, you can then deal with that and balance that out and then neutralize kind of that fear-based push energy there. You stop the push there, it stops the pull there, right? And therefore, if there's no fear-based push energy, your twin flame it's not going to show you that anymore. So it's almost like, if you can think of what is the worst thing that can happen, in quotes, regarding your twin flame, it's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So if you're harboring this fear, this thought of, oh my God, that's the worst thing that could ever happen, you know, and then you don't do anything about it, but you just like want to kind of ignore it, or, oh my God, I'm not going to think about that because I might think it into existence or whatever. Like, that's true, because if you have it, you are thinking it, but you're thinking it almost subconsciously, right? Whereas bringing it up to the light and consciously seeing it, consciously identifying it, consciously dealing with that feeling within yourself before your twin flame even does that supposed worst thing, or before that supposed worst thing ever happens, right? If you can just deal with that first within yourself and balance that out within yourself, and like, it could be a process, you know, it depends how deep this goes. I mean, you could balance it out one day and then you find out, you know, you're not worried about it, whatever, but then like in 2 weeks, oh my God, yeah, that's a thought again, and it's about that. And, you know, you realize, oh, I still have that fear. I'm still thinking that's like such the worst thing that could ever happen, right? And then you got to balance it out again. It's a process. Balancing is a process. This entire journey is a process. It's not like one and done. If you haven't noticed yet, it is a process. So, but it's a beautiful process. And so what happens is, through this process, you get to see yourself. You get to see all the parts of yourself, including the denied part of yourself that you didn't want to see, which, if you're watching this video and you're on a twin flame journey, is your push fear-based energy regarding the twin flame journey. So that's beautiful. It's a part of you. It's beautiful. So the whole point of this journey is to love yourself, and to love yourself, you have to know yourself, and to know yourself, you have to see yourself, you know? And so how it would happen though is if you don't bring it to light, you don't see it, you know it's something you don't want to have happen. And here's an example. Say the worst thing that could ever happen is, oh my God, my twin flame's gonna run off and get married to somebody else, right? So you have that's the worst thing, let's say. I'm not saying this is yours. I'm just saying this isn't like an example I'm pulling out of like, midair. Okay. So that's like the worst thing that you think could ever happen regarding your twin flame. So, because it's such the worst thing that you think could ever happen, you don't want to even think about it, because when you think about it, you get all anxious and your fear-based energy feeds up and it just makes you feel awful. And so you just like kind of push it aside. You kind of like bury it within you, right? So you don't have to focus on it at all. Well, then when that happens, you're not bringing it to light, right? You're burying it. You're actually keeping it in the dark. And guess what thrives and grows and flourishes in the dark? Fear. Because fear is the opposite of light. It's the opposite of truth, which is the same as light. And they cannot coexist. So when you have something in the dark that you're pushing down and you're repressing, it's only going to grow. Because if it's fear, because it's in the dark. And fear is it's like a fungus. It grows in the dark more than, in the light. Whereas most, nice happy plants grow in the light. And so does truth and love. Fear grows in the dark. So, you don't want to push it down. You don't want to repress it. You want to bring it to light. You want to identify it and you want to call it out and you want to really feel it. Feel the feelings it brings. Feel the feelings. You never want to repress feelings. And you don't want to repress, this thought of, oh my God, what if my twin flame runs off and marries somebody else? Because it's the worst thing that could ever happen. Because as long as you repress it, guess what? It must do. Your twin flame must show it to you. So if you can weed that out, if you can find out what those things are, and I mean, you probably have way more than one. I mean, the worst thing is probably the most worst thing, but then there's other bad things, quote unquote bad things that you fear could happen, or really it's your fear-based push energy, fears could happen. But see, it's like a catch-22 with the fear-based push energy, because the fear-based push energy, just like you think it wants to be with you to be with your twin flame, it doesn't. It's self-sabotage. Because if it gets its hit off of its drug of choice, which is that physical form of the twin flame, guess who you're not being with? The twin flame, right? So it's all kind of self-sabotage, and that's the same thing here. So your fear-based push energy dreads and fears and puts this awful thought and feeling into you that, oh my God, I hope my twin flame doesn't run off and marry somebody else. But really, it causes you to feel bad. It causes you to feel fear. But that's what your fear-based energy wants you to do, right? Because then you repress it. Your natural inclination thus far, until you're on this journey, is to repress that. And kind of oh, if I don't focus on it, maybe it'll go away type thing. No, that's not good. That's not being true to yourself. That's not seeing yourself. That's definitely not understanding yourself, accepting yourself without judgment, and not therefore loving yourself. This whole journey is about self-love and loving yourself. And remember, love is not a verb. It is an energetic state of being. It is your natural state of being. It is the energy of your soul, who and what you are. So that's how it can happen. It must happen. It must be shown to you by your twin flame if it's not balanced and reconciled within yourself first. So I suggest that you take some time to yourself, get really, really honest with yourself, and think of all the terrible situations you think that could happen with your twin flame. And I know, oh my God, you're not going to manifest it into existence by thinking about anything. What's going to manifest it into physical reality is by you ignoring it and repressing it. And I want you to think about everything that comes up that is could be the most awful things you could ever think of that you hope doesn't happen at all with your twin flame, or it could be the worst news you ever get. And I want you to sit with the feelings, see what those feelings are that come up when you think about that. And feel them. But then notice the thoughts that are with them. And just remind your fear-based push energy, remind yourself, say, I see you there, but this isn't real. None of this is happening just in my head. It's a fear, and I'm not going to make this a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not going to let you do this to me, fear-based energy. You're not running the show anymore. I'm in charge, and guess what? It's not going to happen. I'm not going to let you sit there and smolder away in the darkness and grow and feed on this fear that's unfounded, that hasn't even happened, that even if it did happen, it's not the worst thing ever in the world, because it's just showing me you, right? And then, you know, you bring it to light. You just shine on it, the light on it. And you accept that that is something that you're fearing. You accept that it's fine and okay that you're fearing it, but now you're bringing it to light. So you're about to dissipate that fear. You're about to make it smaller. And those feelings that you feel regarding that will dissipate as well. So, yeah, that's what I meant by the worst thing that could ever happen can happen. And of course it can always happen if you know, just blindly follow and allow yourself to be swept up in your fear-based push energy regarding your twin flame journey. It will happen. I mean, that has to happen as well. Because, you know, when you're swept up in your fear-based energy, believing what it's selling you, then, you know, you're not balanced. You are it. And, you know, you are the fear-based push energy. So you are pushing, and your twin flame is going to pull back in tandem. And no matter how that pullback manifests physically for you and your own unique individual journey and situation, it's always caused by the same thing in everyone's journey and situation, and that is their fear-based push energy. That's all it's about, guys. Just identifying your fear-based push energy and not allowing it to try to control you anymore, because you are in charge. I hope that answers your question. Guys, please keep sending questions. We will answer them in future videos. We promise. We love to get your questions. It gives us something to talk about that we know that you want to hear. So thanks for watching, and have an amazing week, and lots of love.